In this video, we will set up a minimal example of a VHDL verification environment using the UVVM Verification Framework. We will discuss what the UVVM Verification Framework is, how it is structured, and which files are needed to run a minimal simulation. The UVVM Verification Framework provides the infrastructure for creating verification environments that use UVVM verification IP components. The UVVM Verification Framework includes mechanisms for passing commands and data through different verification components. Its main advantage with respect to the UVVM Lightbus functional models is that the verification framework supports non-blocking calls to the verification components, making it easier to create complex test cases using several interfaces in a single VHDL process. If we're using readily available verification components, we only need 1 or 2 files to set up a verification environment. The 2-file solution is used in the UVVM examples and consists of a test harness and a test bench. The test harness instantiates the design under test and the verification components and connects the signals between them. The test bench instantiates the test harness, initializes the environment, and runs the test cases by sending commands to the verification components and evaluating their response. In the 1-file solution, there is no test harness. The test bench instantiates the design under test and the verification components, and it also generates the stimuli and validates the output of the design under test. Each solution has its strengths and weaknesses. Assuming that only UVVM verification components are used to interact with the design under test, the 2-file solution keeps the component instantiation and signal connections separate from the stimuli and checks, which makes the test bench file smaller and easier to maintain. On the other hand, the 1-file solution produces a longer file that is more difficult to read and maintain. However, this solution makes it easier to interact with the design under test using something other than UVVM verification components. The example in this post uses the 2-file solution. Let's start with the test harness. Because this is a minimalist example, we will include neither a design under test nor verification components. We'll just set up the infrastructure so that they can be added later. The test harness instantiates the UVVM engine, whose job is to initialize the verification environment. The test bench instantiates the test harness and waits for the initialization of the UVVM environment to complete. After that, the verification environment is ready to start running tests. This minimal test case doesn't generate any stimuli. It simply uses a few logging commands to confirm that the verification environment works as expected. After running the simulation, we can see that our custom messages are printed, along with a summary of the alerts logged while running the test.